You said, think of the Roman Empire, and you think of aqueducts, legions, and gladiators. You think of law and order. But you're about to discover that Roman justice was a spectacle of state-sanctioned sadism so extreme, it makes the violence in the Colosseum look like a school play. You're about to dive into the shocking world of Roman punishments, where your death was not just a sentence, but a form of public entertainment designed to terrify an entire population into submission. From being sewn into a sack with live animals and thrown in a river, to being crucified along the highways as a warning to travelers, these are the documented facts that will completely destroy everything you thought you knew about the glory of Rome. Spoiler alert, the Romans didn't just kill their criminals. They used their bodies to write the law, and they wrote it in agony. Let's start with a punishment reserved for the most heinous crime a Roman could commit: killing their own father. The Romans believed this act was so unnatural, so offensive to gods and to the state, that the perpetrator had to be wiped from existence in the most elaborate way possible. They called it pena culiae, or the penalty of the sack. Here's the process, recorded by Roman legal scholars with chilling precision. First, the convicted parricide was scourged with blood-red rods, a public shaming to mark the beginning of their torment. Then came the sack, a large leather sack, big enough to hold a man and a few uninvited guests. The convict was forced inside, but they weren't alone. Roman law dictated that 4 specific animals be sealed in the sack with them: a dog, a rooster, a viper, and a monkey. Why these animals? Roman philosophers debated the symbolism for centuries. Some argued they represented the corrupted family: the disloyal dog, the aggressive rooster, the venomous snake, the grotesque mockery of a human in the monkey. Others believed they were just there to make the final moments a frenzy of clawing, biting, and panic violence inside a claustrophobic, pitch-black space. Once the sack was sewn shut, it was thrown into the nearest deep river or the sea. The victim's death was a horrifying combination of drowning, suffocation, and being torn apart by terrified animals in the dark. The Romans believed this punishment was so complete that it didn't just kill you, it denied you a proper burial, ensuring your tormented spirit would never find peace. It was a legal and spiritual annihilation. You've heard of crucifixion. You've seen it in movies, but you have no idea of its true purpose. For the Romans, crucifixion wasn't just a method of execution. It was the ultimate statement of social control. A punishment so degrading, so agonizing, and so public that it was called a slave's death. A Roman citizen, no matter their crime, could not legally be crucified. It was reserved for slaves, rebels, and the lowest dregs of society. This was psychological warfare. The process began long before the cross. The victim was brutally flogged with flagrum, a whip with multiple leather strands embedded with sharp pieces of bone and metal, designed to shred the skin and muscle of the back. Then, they were forced to carry their own crossbeam, the patibulum, through the city streets, a public parade of humiliation. When they reached the execution site, usually a main road or a hilltop outside the city, they were nailed to the cross. Large iron spikes, about 5 to 7 inches long, were driven through their wrists, not their palms as often depicted. This was a point of anatomical genius. The nail would sever the median nerve, causing excruciating bolts of pain to shoot up the arms with every movement. The feet were then nailed together to the front of the upright post. But the nails didn't kill you. The horror of crucifixion was in how long it took you to die. The cause of death was slow, agonizing asphyxiation. To breathe, the victim had to push up on the nails in their feet to relieve the pressure on their chest muscles. Each breath was a choice between the searing pain in your wrists and feet and the suffocating fire in your lungs. Roman crucifixion was a multi-day spectacle. Victims could hang for up to 3 days, tormented by thirst, insects, and the jeers of the crowd. Their bodies were left up long after death as a rotting billboard for Roman power. It was a calculated message to anyone who saw it. This is what happens when you challenge the empire. We don't just kill you, we erase your humanity. The punishments of Rome were not the work of simple barbarians. They were the calculated legal instruments of a sophisticated empire obsessed with power. They understood that the greatest weapon wasn't the sword, but fear. What other historical empire used punishment as a form of public theater? Let me know in the comments.